Oh my God, it is Monday. That means the stud man is back again. Mr. Puttenvink, how you doing there, brother?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good. Just so everybody knows who he is. Mark Puttenvink used to work for the Rangers many years ago, New England Patriots. He's a trainer of everybody, Navy SEALs, mothers at home. Anybody wants to train him, Mark can be able to train him. He's got a company called Patriot Training Systems. Again, Patriot Training Systems. And I think that's a really interesting topic right now. And we're going to stay away. Mark and I both, we don't want to talk politics at all here, but we both are real patriots. We are very fortunate to hang around with a lot of Navy SEALs, police officers, firefighters, people that serve the country in general, and just fantastic people that we've got to hang around with. So when you see decisions that have been made on behalf of the country, and that costs people their lives, and again, all these guys that are friends of ours, they've gone over and sacrificed so much. And one of the Navy SEALs I was talking to, I won't mention his name, he was interesting. He had a little bit of a different take on it. He's an active SEAL right now. He's from New Canaan, Connecticut. And so this area at 9/11 was hit pretty hard. A lot of places were, but, the financial services business, a lot of people lived in New Canaan, Greenwich, all those. So he viewed it that it was really interesting. He said, listen, I don't view it that it was a waste going over there. He says, we went over there to get revenge for what they did to us on 9/11. That's part of the reason why he said, and so that's how I look at it. A lot of the guys who talked to him, sure, the same as you, are just down in the dumps, all these guys right now, because they sacrifice so much and have this kind of stuff happen, hand the country back to them and have those other people get killed. So kind of sad time for the community.
Yeah, I've had a couple, 3 or 4 phone calls by guys who were in Afghanistan or Iraq or both. And one in particular was really upset. And, I said to him, listen, he had the feeling like what he did was diminished or that it didn't matter. I said, of course it mattered. I said, don't let current events dictate what or influence the amount of service you gave our country and your commitment to something. And I think, again, we don't want to get political, but there is certainly a lack of leadership right now. I mean, whether you like the president or not, really be hard pressed to say that he didn't do a horrific job on this one.
Yeah.
There are some SEALs that I know that are either there or on the way over right now on their own time, on their own money to go over with some other special force guys to see what they could do to help the cause. So obviously that's extremely dangerous, extremely courageous. And I think we need some more adults in the room right now.
Yeah. The lack of foresight.
We don't want to get political, but it's all politics.
Yeah. It's a lack of foresight. It's almost like you see the things they say that they totally underestimated. They're, we're getting to the point. Well, again, we don't want to get into politics, but
the problem is that as you go, from what I understand, the further up the chain you go, they become political. They become bureaucrats. When I'm talking about Secretary of Defense, State Department, certainly a bureaucratic enterprise, and even the generals. I mean, they reach a point where that's like anything else. Unless you're in the dirt and got your feet on the ground and really have, and they keep talking about over the horizon, which means capability of not having boots on the ground, but through satellites or drones. That only works so far. You do need human intelligence. I mean, the way we captured or killed bin Laden was they had intercepted a courier and got out of him where bin Laden was. So you do need human intel. It's very important. And it's the other misunderstanding when they keep saying the endless war. We have 2,500 guys there. We still have 28,000 troops in South Korea. We still have thousands of troops in Germany. We have 2,500 troops or more in Japan. We had 26,000 troops in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Just recently. So in any event, it's a bad time for the country. It certainly makes us look weak. We'll get through this because we're Americans and we have a lot of really courageous, brave men and women. But it doesn't diminish the fact that this was pretty bad time.
Here's how we're going to get through it. I'm going to show you right now how we're going to get through it. Okay. Barry Shelley sums it up right here. Mark is looking pumped up. That's how we're going to get through it. Seriously, we do need to comment on that. Let's be serious. Let's be serious for a moment. How long did it take you to get ready? It's almost like, okay, I got the muscle shirt on. I open it up a little bit so they can see the chest, tanned up nice. Little Popeye did about like 50 push-ups before he came on the show. Is that pretty accurate, or
55?
55 push-ups?
And I have mirrors everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Mirrors are great.
So,
mirrors
so
there for a reason.
Here's my current problem. So was talking to Beth last night, and I'm in the hallway. She's in the office. And
Okay, Beth. Okay, hold on. We need to clarify. Beth is the lovely woman, the saint of a woman that puts up with Mark. For how many years now have you guys been together?
I think around, I want to say 17.
17 years. We got to have her on the show. Just her and I have a discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So
all right. So go ahead.
So anyways, I must have whacked my leg on something. I didn't feel it, and I was bleeding. And she looked down and said, "You're leaking." And I stepped back, and I got blood on the rug. So now I'm in a panic. How do I get to? So she Googles it real quick. It turns out just cold water. So I quick got a towel, cold water, and the blood came out. And then I'm thinking, this is not good, because now she knows how to hide the blood. How to.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That is an awful thing to say about that saint of a woman. She's going right to heaven. The saint.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question about that.
No doubt.
17 years with you. Holy smokes. It's funny, there's a young guy I think I've spoken to you about before. I'll mention his name. He's a great kid, this Max Como, and I coached him before. Yeah. He'd gone in, he was in the Army, and just recently got married, had a child, and everything like that. So I called him, left a message, or I texted him. I haven't heard back from him yet, too. But it's funny with guys like that. It's like I coached him when he was a kid. He's the kid I told you about. It was funny.
Where
he'd get kicked out of games. He put the finger out. And to see him now, that was a classic move. To see him now with a child serving their country and a whole bit, so very proud of him. But just like you and I know we're the same way, very proud of all these guys we know. It's just like it's kind of an honor, well, not kind of an honor, it is an honor to know these guys, to see how they live their lives. So guys and girls, so be careful.
It's a really a privilege for you and I to get to know these people.
We did. I know we both. It was a huge ego booster, I guess, when Mark had posted a picture of was it 8 of us that worked the swim.
Yeah.
Right. We helped out. So guys, friends of Mark's and everything, and they're all helped out. We did do that. Mark did all the work. We were just there really helping out as much as we could. But Mark had posted a picture, and one of the Navy SEALs, what did he write? He says, "Glorious men." He wrote, "Glorious men." That got me pumped up. When a Navy SEAL says you're a glorious man for doing something like that.
They really, they don't look down their nose at us.
Yeah.
They look us in the eye. They're happy.
Yeah.
They're as happy to get to know us as we are of them.
Definitely. Yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're good guys too. Yeah, that is very true. Right? They don't. That was really the thing that surprised me when I started hanging around with them. And rightfully so. I thought that there'd be a certain level of arrogance. Right? You've done all these things.
They have every right to.
Yeah, absolutely. But the furthest thing from totally confident men and women, but not arrogant. All like you said, when they have a conversation with you, they're engaged in that conversation. They ask you how you're doing. They want to know how you are doing. Yeah.
And it really goes back to, we've talked about how they just continually learn and learn and learn.
Yeah.
They don't stop learning. So you saw the video of Royce with Kenny Bigby doing some Filipino martial arts.
Yeah. And
for Kenny, his eyes lit up. He was like, wow. He goes, I want to come out and train up with you guys.
Yeah.
And it's just, they, like I said, they never stop learning.
Yeah.
And
I like when they got interviewed before the swim on Fox News, and I can't remember if the reporter asked them or thanked them for staying in such good shape for the swim. I think he was asking, how'd you stay in shape? And the guy goes, I didn't stay in shape for the swim. I didn't stay in shape to go fight for the country. I'm ready to go anytime you want to go.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
and they did. Like, I won't use his name, but he actually was on with us last year.
Yeah.
Before the swim. San Diego guy. He, like I said, he's over in Afghanistan right now on his own time. Yeah.
So what do they do? Maybe I should be careful. Should I be asking what do they do for weapons? Do they get weapons over there? Or should we not talk about that?
Probably better not to talk
about. Yeah. Yep.
Because I don't want to say anything I don't know, for one.
Yeah. Get them in trouble too. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So, it is kind of a coincidence here, maybe not a coincidence, with all this going on. Listen, I don't want to scare people or anything like that, but I think we think back, we're coming up to the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And we thought about, if you think back about how we felt on September 12th, September 13th, those days after, the world changed. We looked at things a lot differently. Our security, our safety, for them to be able to do what they did to our country, and my fear is sometimes that we kind of drift away from that. And again, neither one of us want people to be paranoid, walking around being paranoid all the time, but you need to be aware. You need to be trained so that things could happen. Things did happen. We never would have thought. I certainly never would have thought that people were going to fly planes into buildings here in the U.S. Suicide planes. So we can't just be naive, especially with all this stuff going on in the world. So we need to be ready. So you're really great you've trained a lot of with and for a lot of military personnel, police officers, and everything for safety in your own home too, taking care of yourself. Go ahead.
Well, there's some very common sense things that seem kind of obvious, but aren't really. So when we talk about security of your home, what are we talking about? We're talking about robberies, home invasions. And I think the number is 1 out of 32 homes are robbed. And 1 out of 4 robberies are a home invasion, meaning someone's home in the house. Mm-hmm. So that's a separate issue. We'll talk about that briefly. But what we need to think about is, how would I break into my own home? No one knows your home better than you do. How would I break into my home? Because you're going to. So we want to look at a couple things. One is critical time. What do we mean by critical time? When is no one going to be home? So I leave for work at 8. Say my wife leaves for work at 9. My kids are gone from 7:30 a.m. till 3:30. So there's a gap of time. So we call that the critical time, when somebody can break into your home because you're not home. More importantly, what are our critical assets? Well, generally speaking, critical assets are human. My wife, my children, my dog. So we want to look at critical assets. We want to look at critical avenues of entrance, meaning, am I near a highway? Can somebody come in, rob my home, be on a highway and gone in 20 seconds? Am I at a dead end? Are there intersecting roads? In my backyard woods? Is my backyard buttress up against another home? So we want to look at areas of access. And if we take a look particularly at the access as it applies to your home, all right, so maybe you have a high school daughter who's a teenager, and she always leaves the back door open, or she always leaves the garage door open. Well, that's, for guys that are looking to break in your home, that's an open invitation. So we want to take a walk around the yard, and a good practice drill to do is walk up and down your neighborhood block and look at homes and say, that one looks pretty secure, that one's really easy. Garage door is wide open. All right. So you get your assets, you get to critical time that the home would be alone, and then avenues of access. So now compile that on a list, see where you're vulnerable. Critical vulnerabilities are, we need to train up my kids. Listen, when you leave the house, that garage door's got to be shut and locked. Back door is never open. It's always locked.
So I'm going to interrupt you one sec, Mark. So you've got kids that are 8, 9, 10, 12 years old. You don't want to scare them, right? But you need to make them aware, right? Yeah. So there's a fine line there.
The best way to handle that is, if you look at a school system, they run fire drills. We all, as kids, went through fire drills all the time. I'm going to put a question out to everybody listening. How many people run a fire drill in their home?
Never. Yeah.
How many have a word that the whole family understands means something critical is happening?
Right.
Someone's either breaking in or whatever.
And some kind of strategy too, right? Like, okay, when you leave, here's where we're going to meet.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Right. That also works when you go to a mall, but there's a different subject. But yeah, so you have to have a plan. Again, you don't want to frighten your children. You can kind of turn it into a game, so to speak.
Yeah. Yep.
But how many 5-year-old kids or 6-year-old kids know how to dial 911? And what does dialing 911 represent? What does it mean? What are you going to tell the person answering the phone? Okay. How many kids know their home address?
Yeah.
If the dispatcher says, what's your address? Yeah. Because on average, a 911 call is about 20 minutes before someone arrives.
20 minutes? Really?
20 minutes. That's the average. Yeah. By the time dispatch gets it out on the road. It can vary depending on where you live too. It could be longer. It could be longer. If you live in it, like a lot of Florida's all sheriff's departments, they can be 30 miles away. So that's one of the things. So we can talk about hard and soft defense. So a soft defense would be, hey, put that ADP sign out in your front yard that the home has got home security, even if it doesn't, because criminals aren't looking for any resistance. They want to find
the same thing with a dog too, right? I mean, if you do have a dog, that's
the best security system you can get.
Yeah.
People. So if you have that ATP sign, that guy comes by, he's going, you know what, going to the next one. They don't want to. They don't want to get caught. They don't want to go to prison. So another soft defense would be a video camera, right on your front door. Even if it's not,
what are those ring cameras or ring cameras?
Works well. Yeah. Rings had some issues with people breaking into the ring itself.
That's right.
Being able to get into the camera, but that can be rectified. But yeah, put a video camera up, even if it's not operable.
Yeah.
No one's going to say maybe it's not working. They're going to go on to the next house.
Yeah.
Another soft defense would be, this is really particular to women that live alone. Go to Tom Laidlaw and say, Tom, what do you wear? About a size 12 shoe?
Yeah, 11 and a half.
11 and a half, 12. Give me an old beat up pair of sneakers or work boots.
Yeah.
Put them by your front door.
Yeah, that's good.
If you're living alone and that dude comes up and he sees those, a big guy living here, I'm going to move down the road.
That's true. I never thought of that. That's right.
Yeah. And another really good soft defense is, besides the work boots or the sneakers, children's toys, even if you don't have kids. Because they don't want a sticky situation when there's going to be kids. Because that means if I get caught, instead of 3 years in prison, I'm going to 15 years.
That's right, too. That's right.
Okay.
So me leaving my front door open and saying, if this person is tough enough to come in my house uninvited, just give them a key. That's not a really good self-defense.
Oh, I would do that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sit there with your... But
Barry Beck said that to me one time. He says, I think he got it from Ernie Punch McLean, a famous coach out in New Westminster in the Western Hockey League. If I just leave my front door open, if somebody's tough enough to come in my house uninvited, I might as well give them a key. And I love that.
There's certain truth to that, for sure. But there's not many people like that out there. I mean, I won't mention name, but a guy walks around and he says, what is this? I'm just hoping for someone to try me. Yeah.
But, good job, Lorraine.
Well, another really
my sneaker size 14. Ooh, big man.
Yeah, that'll do it, Lorraine. That'll definitely do it. Yeah. And then so you got the security sign, you got the shoes, you got the kids' toys out front, even if you don't, you live alone. And then so those are the soft defenses. Now, a hard defense would be this: any windows or access that is street level, so to speak. When you're landscaping your home, you want to put in front of those windows attractive landscaping, but thorny bushes. Thorny bushes, because it's a buffer. We have a really big window over there. I have a piece of furniture that's below the window, but somebody climbs through, they're not going to be able to get past that piece of furniture. Yeah. So that's what we call a hard defense. So hard defense would be some bushes. Hard defense would be furniture. Hard defense would be in the home itself, some type of self-protection, whether it's a taser, pepper spray, weapons, whatever the case may be.
Right.
Now, to take that even further, in every room, this is going overboard a little bit, but maybe not. Every room, or certainly in your bedroom, you should have a cell phone, buy a cheap one, pre-dialed in 911. Because what happens is somebody breaks in your house, and that's part of the other thing we'll get to in a second, where you want to be. But you get to that safe space, you're not going to be calm, cool, and collected. And
I know.
Your adrenaline starts pumping out, your hands start to shake, just like when you're trying to get in the house to go to the bathroom, and you've opened that front door a bazillion times, and you can't get the key in because you got to go so bad and you're shaking. Well, it's the same thing. You can't dial 911.
Right.
And seconds count.
That's the same thing even with a gun, right? I mean, unless you're really well trained, like if you've got a gun, it may almost work against you because being able to load it.
So if you're going to go that route, you need to be trained up and you need to be trained consistently. Very, very critical. Also, depending on the weapon that you choose, you may just, it's not, people think it's very easy to shoot somebody and stop them. It's not. People walk through bullets and continue, especially if they're all jacked up on meth or whatever. Anybody who's in the military that wants to chime in and say, yeah, that's true, based upon their experience. But when you talked about the fire drill and having a pre-plan and a safe word and everything like that. If somebody broke into the home, we have to have a room to go to. And in that room, so there's a couple things you want to think of. So when someone is in your home, and if you have a multi-level home, you want to position yourself on the highest ground. And that's just common. That's a common denominator in all military tactics and stuff like that. You want to have the higher ground because they have to come up, obviously. So you want to also create what they call a fatal funnel. So maybe you stand at the, in a hallway where they got to come up the stairs and come down this hallway where there's only one access. And then you could use your weapon or whatever you choose to do. In the room you choose to go to, again, say it's a bathroom, make sure that you have if it's a second story, if you've got a window, you have a ladder that you can drop down and get out of there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's people can go online and research this stuff. There's a lot written up on home security, but the bottom line is you really need to get a plan. Just don't wing it, because if you're sitting at home, Tom, and you're watching Netflix and you're all chill, you're having a glass of wine and you're kind of getting sleepy, and all of a sudden there's a loud pounding on the front door at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. This is not normal. So what's the first thing going to happen? Your heart rate's going to get all jacked up, and you're going to get all. And
you just don't think clearly. Yeah. Right? Remember we talked about when I trained when I was going on Survivor, I had the trainer that helped me, and he had me memorize those poems, and then he would somehow elevate my heart rate, either ride a bike or aggravate me. And I go to say the poem after, and I couldn't remember the poem that I just recited 5 minutes ago. So you don't realize how much your elevated heart rate really affects your thinking process too. Yeah.
Well, in addition, when you do come home, I don't care if it's 9 o'clock in the morning or midnight, take a look around first.
Yeah.
Look for things that look out of place and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I just call the police, just ask them to do a quick check.
It's really about being aware. It's about being aware, right? Like just being aware of your surroundings.
Take 30 seconds to look around. My mom, so I grew up on a lake and we were at dead end. So across the street was a river. So there was only one way in. We were the second house from the dead end. My mom went to the grocery store, 11 a.m. She came home, the front door was wide open.
Ooh.
And she said, oh, I must have left the front door open. Went in the house, everything looked fine. Put the groceries away, made a phone call or two, went up into the bedroom, and it was turned upside down. Oh. Drawers all over, emptied out on the bed. Because what they'll do is they know the bedroom usually has jewelry or cash. Yeah. And they want to be in and out in 30 seconds or less. So they break the door, they get in, just take drawers, dump them out on the bed, go through it, grab what they're going to grab, and go.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem. With only one way in, one way out, what would have happened if she walked in while they were there?
Sure.
It could have been a really bad outcome for my mom. As it turned out, the front door was secure. They went around to the back door, and they were able to get in. So, again, when you see the front doors wide open, you go, I'm not going to chat. Maybe I left it open.
That reminds me, when I was living out in Los Angeles, when I got traded out there, I was married at the time, and my wife at the time had left her purse on the kitchen counter where a guy just looked in the window, came in our back door or back out of the house in the backyard. And you're right, it was in and out. They got the window open somehow. And it was an older house. We didn't have the proper locks or like that. So he was able to just slide the window open, grab the purse. So that's another good thing, right? Don't leave the valuables, like as much as you can. Try to not have purses and money and that kind of stuff close to the windows. Yeah.
It's visible. And the other part, and this is conceptual, is don't be Batman. Do not be Batman. If you can get out of there, get the hell out of there. Don't try to get into some kind of engagement with this part. I don't care how many, I do this every day, all day. I'm not looking to engage. I'm getting out of there. If I have to engage, I do. But I'm not.
I'll tell you my story back to this mess. I was with the Rangers and then bought a house, and there was a mouse in the house. So we got a mouse trap, the one that's slammed shut, and put it underneath the sink. And in the middle of the night, I hear this bang. And then it's shuffling around, like it slammed on the mouse, but the mouse didn't die totally, so it's spinning around. So I'm thinking, I forgot that the mouse was there. I thought if somebody broke into the house. So I'm me, Mr. Tough Guy. I'm like, I've got a gun. I'm going to come and get you. And I didn't have a gun or anything like that. I'm coming out after you. And I'm waiting. And then the mouse wouldn't die, so they kept making noise. So I'm thinking there's still somebody in the house, and I'm yelling, "I'm coming to get you! I'm coming to get you!" Oh God! When I finally went and looked under the sun, there was a mouse. I actually did go buy a shotgun at that point too, but that's funny.
Yeah, those are I call that a Kodak.
Kodak moments.
Kodak. Just aim and shoot.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you don't have to really be accurate. But I had a good friend of mine, so he came home one night after dinner. He had a few drinks, and in his home, his security system had panels. So if there is an intruder, the panel starts tracking through the house where he is. Where the bad guy is. So sure enough, it starts going off, and He reaches in the night, he pulls out his 357 Magnum, starts walking his way down the hallway, and he's going, "Hey, dude, I know you're in here. I'm gonna blow you away." And like every 20 feet or so, there's another panel, and he sees the intruder now making his way into the living room. So he comes, like around the staircase. He's like this. He had a birthday party for one of his daughters, and the air conditioning unit was running, and one of the helium balloons was being blown around the house.
Oh.
So the problem here is that could have been a really bad thing.
Yeah,
I mean, he could have pulled off around. And keep in mind, too, this is something I want to talk about. When you do have that safe room, let's say you do have a weapon, make sure that there's no chance of when that bad person, that intruder comes in, that when you fire, there's not a wall behind the bad guy that a bullet can go through.
I was just thinking that too, because I live in a condominium complex, and if I was to shoot through next door, I was sitting with my shotgun. Yeah.
Right. So that's a real huge consideration. And that's why I really, really can't emphasize enough. If you're going to go the route of handguns or rifles or shotguns, train up, be very, very confident, and also understand, the parameters in which you're going to utilize that.
Because you think about it, right? I mean, you want to defend your family, you want to defend your home, but your family and their safety is most important. If somebody steals jewelry or cash,
let it go.
I mean, jewelry, let it go. And I mean, as much as you say that, you want to be the brave guy that's protecting your family.
Don't be Batman.
That's really the way to
do not be Batman. And if you, just one last point here, if you do grab a shotgun, keep in mind there's a pretty large spray. So you may miss him and get your kid or your wife.
Yeah. And I've got the short barrel on mine now too, which makes it even
I've got
worse,
a short barrel, but that's another story.
Yeah. But here's the bigger, my solution though, seriously, like get a picture of you with no shirt on.
Yeah.
And then just make it into like a poster, life-size poster.
Oh, those, what the heck they used to go and they put them on the wall, the hockey players and the football players.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Those, put based on the wall. And that guy sees it. This guy's living here. I am not breaking into this home.
Or he may leave money for me to join a gym. Always that possibility.
Steal money from the neighbor.
Yeah.
Oh God. All right. So training camps are opening up soon here for NHL players, junior players, kids playing hockey. What do you think this time of the year then? Like we'll pick hockey because that's our sport. So what should these guys be doing? So already they can't be starting their conditioning now, right? They've been training all summer long. What would they be working on now?
Right now, skill work, number one. If you're going to do any conditioning work, if you're about, say, 2 weeks out from camp, you want to do what we call anaerobic threshold training, which means 1 unit of work, 1 unit of rest. So that you can start to begin to push back that anaerobic threshold, which is a fancy term meaning that's the point which you fatigue. So if I give an all-out effort, if I skate as fast as I can, when I start to decelerate, that's my anaerobic threshold. You can push back that threshold further out if you do the one unit of work, 1 unit of rest training, but it's only a 2 week period of time you can do it. If you do it further than that, you start having deleterious, actually, it's going to set you back. So it's the last 2 weeks before camp. Then you go into camp, you should be good to go. But skill work, some anaerobic threshold training, maintain your weightlifting because you want to keep your strength up. And also about weight training. One of the most misunderstood things is that besides being stronger, it actually thickens your tendon and ligament attachments. So you are less likely to injure. One of the reasons we lift weights is injury reduction. And then if you're playing in the East Coast, I was with 2 guys this morning that play in the East Coast. We were doing fighting training.
Fighting training?
Fighting, yeah. So I was teaching them, collar grabs and push and pull and all kinds of things. And one of the things, and this is kind of my own little thing I came up with, I'm thinking, well, I've been doing this a long time, but without being on the ice, how do we replicate the balance issue?
Yeah.
So you and I we're gonna spar on 1 foot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'll send you a video. It came out pretty cool. So the one kid plays in the East Coast League for Wichita. And I said, really, you guys are still? He says, all we do is fight. It's different than the NHL because these kids aren't really, God bless them, but they're not going to make it to the show. Some will, but most won't. But yeah, so it's just, it's a part of my friends.
They still want that for the entertainment value for the fans
still a
too.
Shit show. Yeah, still a shit show.
Yeah, that's true. Fighting's almost gone from the NHL. It's more being that mentally tough, not backing down from this.
So let me ask you this. Ryan Reeves.
Yep.
Do you think he instantly changes two things: the room changes the room, and does he also change? Now, guys like Tom Wilson are thinking maybe I don't run around like an idiot so much when I play in New York.
So it's more, and it's always been this way. You know this. The intimidation factor with fighting is really what stops people from being so tough. So it started off, one team had a bunch of skilled guys. The Philadelphia Flyers, they got a bunch of tough guys, so they're gonna beat everybody up. So the rest of the teams all have to get other tough guys. So it's an arms race really to get as many tough guys as possible. So Ryan Reaves. I mean, listen, part of the issue with the Rangers is they're a young team, right? I mean, we all remember what it was like when you're 18, 19, 20 years old. It's not just the intimidation, it's everything, the awe factor of playing in the NHL and going to all these different cities. Now you got to play against Tampa, who's just won 2 cups in a row. It's that you're intimidated. You're giving them way too much respect. And he's the kind of guy, he's got a little bit of an attitude, Ryan Reaves does, and the reputation he's got. So he's going to walk in with that swagger, right? I mean, he's got the swagger. There's no question. And same with the guys in Tampa, the Yanni Gourde, Blaze that they got. Right. Those Blaze I like too. He's that third, fourth line guy with an attitude. He doesn't back down from anybody. So definitely, it's going to be great for the young kids. Again, the way they were designed before, like John Davis is a great friend of mine. So is Jeff Gorton, and obviously they lost their jobs. They knew very well that team wasn't as tough as they needed to be. They wanted to leave all the spots for those young kids to play, but they're gone now. I think Chris Drury's doing a fantastic job. He hasn't just gutted the team for the sake of gutting it. He's added pieces. Moving Bushnevich out was some people think he maybe should have got more, but Bushnevich had to sign a contract that was part of it. So I like what he's done. I think it's really changed the culture of the team, right, in that locker room. So
it's one of the things that I was explaining to these young men today is that they're both defensemen. One guy's a tweener. He's like 5'10", 5'11", 195 pounds. So he's not going to scare anybody with size. I said, but here's what I want to teach you guys today: how to put an end to you getting your ass kicked, so to speak.
Right.
How to tie guys up so that the linesmen have an opportunity to jump in and save your life. And that's pretty much what we worked on today. And there are very effective ways, I think, to get to that end.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And it is a little bit of the mind game too, right? It's what you say out there, the way you carry yourself. It's that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned how you carry yourself. When we go back to the whole notion of self-defense or situational awareness, there's a great saying: the way you carry yourself dictates if you're chosen or avoided.
Oh yeah, totally. I remember I played in the league probably 3 or 4 years, and I'd proven I could handle myself okay. And Brendan Shanahan was a rookie playing with New Jersey. So the Rangers and Devils, we had battles all the time. And a scrap happened, and he came right over to me and didn't force to grab me and wasn't like trying to start something. He goes, "You stay here with me," and kind of took charge of the situation. And I'm what?
Who is this guy?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I even saw him one time and I said that, but and he knew what he was doing too. He wasn't looking to start a fight. He was just wanting to take control of the situation. Here's this young kid, and it made me step back and kind of think, who is this kid? Is he really that tough, or else I would have just screw you, and what I want to do out there. So it was pretty.
That's an interesting story. I was the Devils were playing. The training camp was South Mountain Arena, right? And there was they had an American League game earlier in the day, and then they had a rookie game. Remember the rookie games? I don't even know why they bothered dropping a puck.
Yeah. Totally.
So my buddy, he's a big kid, Chris. He was working the lines. He had done the American League game in the morning, and that was just a gong show. Now he's doing this game, and Shanahan was a rookie with the Rangers, and Rangers also had Mark Tenorti. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And so Tenorti, first shift, I think he takes somebody out along the wall, and the guy's skate came up and caught him. So he went in for repairs, and it just starts. And Pat Verbeek's younger brother Brian, pretty tough kid. He was with the Devils. And the Devils also had Shanahan was with the Devils. That's right.
Yeah.
And then the Rangers had Tenorti, obviously a tough guy. And they had this kid from Lake Superior State, this kid, Paul Gerard. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
So the game ends. There's a scrum behind the net. And, oh, by the way, in between periods, going in the referee's room, see my buddies. He's like, oh, man, I don't know if I could do another period. This is period number 6, and all I'm doing is breaking up fights. These guys are spitting on me and bleeding on me.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it breaks out behind the net, and Shanahan grabs this kid, Gerard. Gerard was a pretty big kid, and just absolutely.
Shanahan was tough, yeah. I remember, God, I can't remember his name now. So my first training camp with the Rangers, I was having a good camp. We were playing a rookie league game. Oh, it's awful. The name will come to me. We were playing the Islanders rookies, and kid he was a heavyweight for the American League, but he probably wasn't an NHL heavyweight. He was playing with the Devils later. He was a right shot guy. We talked about him before.
Hector Marini?
Yes, Hector Marini. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So I spanked him pretty good, and I wasn't due to play the next night. It was an NHL game against the Islanders, so I just all of a sudden I'm playing. So Bob Nystrom, at the start of the game, comes right over to me. At the start of the game, doesn't really do anything. Just comes right, like he obviously was told that I gave it to Marini pretty good. I remember thinking to myself, because you're coming in, you're thinking to yourself, I know I can fight, but then you start looking around the league, and there's Gillies and Nystrom with the Islanders, and Holmgren and Wilson, and all the guys up in Boston, and you start to realize it isn't just the fighting the one time; it's that if you get that role, it's every night. Oh, you talk to the guys now. That was the thing they hated. That the night before the game, who's my guy to fight? I'm a fighter now, and I've got to fight everybody. So
they actually did away with those rookie games, if you remember, for a while, because it was just a shit. I mean, the Rangers, Devils, and Islanders, Rangers, and whoever Philly was playing. Yeah, was a mess.
I remember Phyllis Mazzillo was one of the first guys to say, like, we would always play. That's who we play: the Devils, Flyers, Boston every season. And it was just the same way. They wiped a puck out even. It was just everybody just trying to prove how tough they were to settle the score.
Yeah, for the fans,
Phil was one of the first guys to say, "Why are we playing these guys 3 times in preseason?" And
Yeah, the Devils had another kid. I don't know if you remember this kid. He didn't play much, but Mitch Wilson.
Yeah, I remember Mitch Wilson. Yeah, he wasn't a real big kid, but he was tough, right?
He was tough as nails, though. Yeah, he was a little guy. I think he weighed like 180.
How about that? Is it Jan Ludwig? Remember Jan Ludwig?
Good friend of mine, Jan Ludwig. A real good friend.
Oh, is that? We had a scrap one time. He was a little guy, and he wouldn't back down either. Yeah.
So we were working together up in Albany. And after practice, we were going to get something to eat. And he actually was on the ice with gloves on, showing the guys. So then we're going to get something to eat. And he goes, it's pretty funny. I go, what? He goes, a Euro teaching the boys to fight, and a skinny little rat like you're teaching them how to get strong, bigger, and stronger. I said, yeah, it's a little ironic. But he was a pretty tough kid.
He went back down. I was surprised because it was early in his career. We were playing a game in New Jersey, and I actually saw the video the other day. And I thought, he's not going to fight, but he was acting like he was going to fight me. So I said, all right, I guess we're going. And he battled that.
He an interesting story because he played for Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
Still communist. And his wife was a skier, I think. And they must have been at some winter festival. And they walked across the border. They just left. They went into Austria. And then he came over here as what they call a displaced person. Somehow in the hockey world he connected, and I think he went and played in Kamloops in the WHL. He played, Kamloops, and he was a pretty good player. I mean, he could play hockey, but
Speaking of fights, I know the game has changed, culture has changed, and everything. But Evander Kane, I don't know if you saw the stuff he's been involved with his wife, accusing him of bankruptcy and all that kind of stuff. Now he went and got a protection or an order of protection against his wife. He claims his wife hit him. And Kevin Allen brought up a good point today. Listen, there are women out there, more women getting abused by physical abuse, whatever, by spouses, whatever it is. And that should never happen, first of all. But the courts should be tied up helping those people, not a 6'2" tough NHL hockey player saying he's got hit by his wife. And Kevin brought up a good point. Obviously, you have to go in there and say that you fear for your life or whatever. You're fearful. Come on, that's embarrassing.
Well, just. And I know you'll agree 100%, but anybody lays a hand on a woman, A, not a man, number one, you're not a man. And B, I live in Mahwah, New Jersey, if you want to swing by.
Yeah, no kidding, man, we're there to protect women, not there to All right, guys, I know we'll finish it up here, but I know Mark feels the same way, and I'll let you speak as well. But we really want to be cheering for our country right now. We want to be patriots. We want to protect each other. We all have our political beliefs, all that kind of stuff. That's fantastic. But we're going through stuff like this. Listen, everybody does what they want to do, but I would urge you, I certainly am going to, and I know Mark's the same way. Like, we're cheering for the United States of America. We're patriots. We don't like the decisions we made, but the men and women, they really need us backing them right now. So,
I'll end it here. I've heard more than once by veterans. We all say thank you for your service, and they appreciate that. But I don't know if I read it or heard it or someone said it to me. The best thing you can do to show your appreciation is be a good American citizen and love your country.
That's true. Yeah,
And it makes it worthwhile.
we've got a few people that follow us that are former military. Barry Shelley's one of them. Again, thank you for your service, Barry, and we'll back you 100% of the time. So, all right, everybody, great show again. Again, Mark's company, Patriot Training Systems. If you want to get a hold of him, you can train anybody. And we are going to get his lovely woman on the show here, Beth, and find out, first of all, why she puts herself through this and how she puts herself through this. So, all right, we'll see everybody next Monday.
See you guys.